No, this is not an April Fool's video. No, I know how this looks. I know how this sounds. Okay, but if I told you that Army Season 4 is doing a premium video in 2025, can you say you believe those words? Hey, what's going on, guys? Army Season 4 here. Today I am back to talk about everyone's favorite format, premium. Yay! So okay, let's get some things out of the way. First and foremost, why are we here? We are here because there's been an insane ban list that hit English format. I'm not an English player, as you can tell from my cards. All my cards are Japanese. Okay. I'm doing this video as if I got hit by that English ban list. But of course I actually haven't. Then again, for Japan, premium is dead. We only have 2 events a year, so realistically, I don't need to care, right? But I just thought this would be an interesting and maybe final opportunity for me to talk about Nightrose and Premium again, because for those of you who know me personally or long-time fans of this channel, if those things exist, you know that I'm not only a huge fan of Nightrose in every format. I've worked on Nightrose Premium for years. In fact, Nightrose Premium was the first time I got to play Nightrose for real in terms of affording it. I didn't even get to afford G, because G, the deck was like, what? How many thousand yen? I just couldn't afford it, right? So today I want to talk about it in terms of all the hits. I'm gonna try and edit the hits right about here. I don't know if this new device can do it. But if not, I'll just put a link in the description to the Banlist tweet so you can see it. It's by the English Bushiroad, so like there is no language barrier for my English audience. I'm expecting most of the viewers here to be English anyways. If you're a Japanese viewer watching this, hello, this video is not really for you, but it's more of a thought experiment for you to think about. So that's out of the way. Now let's talk about some of the heavier stuff. Yes, it gets even heavier. The premise of this video is that, like I said, this would be as if I got hit by the English hits. And there are a lot. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. Granblue, Nightrose probably suffered one of the worst these hits. They knocked out a lot of our stuff. A lot of our cool D series fun stuff also got knocked out. We lost the crest, which I've never been a fan of the crest in premium. Let me be clear, but it is still a monetary investment. For those of you who bought it, good luck, fellas. I also am an enlarged golf fan, and enlarged golf has been banned because of the many things it has looped. I know a lot of premium Granblue players who love to tech in enlarged golf, and they may be sad to see this card go. And to an extent, I actually am too. So yeah, enlarged golf, I'll see you back in standard, dear boy. Parting shit, go back to hell, I guess. But today, let's talk about Nightrose in premium. What can we do post ban list? Okay, so this list is one of the many ways you can build this deck. I'm saying that now. I understand that the hits are very dire. I understand that most, if not all of you who are meta players for premium, you will give up this deck. I do not foresee most of you carrying on. If you're a Granblue fan, yet alone a Nightrose fan, you guys will stay. The rest of you will vanish overnight. Granblue has been a really strong presence in premium, I dare say, for at least 5 years, but that presence will end today. Okay, most of you are not sticking around through this list. Most of you who swap to some new ass thing like Spike Brothers, or I don't know what you people cook in English premium, but yeah, most of you are not going to be seeing the end of this video. So that out of the way, one of the things we actually can do for Nightrose is that they hit a lot of the D series cards. They didn't actually hit a lot of the V series cards, right? So the idea is that now we're gonna play a more V series style Nightrose, which is more aggressive and more consistency based, less tech options. I know premium Granblue players are huge on their tech picks, and they love bringing like entire suites of different one-offs to just tech them off and then beat people to death in a 30-minute stream. None of that is gonna be here. I'm sorry, none of what you are familiar with will be here. Maybe it's because I'm a Japanese player, I think differently, but that's also because realistically, I think a lot of what you used to do is gone. I think a lot of the things you were comfortable with playing in this format, you just won't be able to do it anymore, and that applies to me as well, right? So this list will appear quite alien to some of you. Some of you may even be used to this list though. I don't think it's that out of the woods, but yeah, you will need to have a shift in mindset. Very similar to how I did the Gandiva Master video, where I asked people to change their mindset, and who knows, it started winning afterwards. So maybe this is the same thing. I don't know. So let's get right into it. I just needed to go through that all out the way just so we're all clear. Okay, our grade 3s, we are playing 4 V series Nightrose, and then we will play 2 Beatrice, and then we will play 2 copies of this is Skull Dragon. So from our grade 3 lineup, which looks a lot like the V series Nightrose deck, there is a reason for that. I will get to that at the end of this video. This also says a lot about what I've chosen to play in this deck, right? Because a lot of the hits that Nightrose specifically, not just Granblue, gets is all linked to the grade 3 pool, right? So this really tells you we are saying goodbye to Negro Lily. This really tells you that we actually can still play the Crest Maker. But we are not actually going to be playing Parting Shade in this deck anymore because we are no longer able to Superior Strike. So for those who are wondering, why am I not playing G Nightrose? You can't afford it. I can. Okay, thank you for your concern. I can afford it. I've heard this complaint before. Now, the thing is that when it comes to Parting Shade, that the whole idea for the Crest, I'll bring up the Crest so you can read it. Yeah, here we go. So the Crest, generally, the most disgusting part of Crest is that it gives you 5,000 power for each of your face-up cards in the G zone to your front row, right? And that applies for your multi-attacks, etc, etc. That's what makes it really strong. Now, if you can't Superior Strike, and you Superior Strike using the G series Nightrose, there is absolutely no need for you to play either, right? If you're locked out of 1 of 2, you're virtually locked out of 2 out of 2. You don't need to play the Superior Strider because all the Superior Strider does, which is Bandit Rump, is just 1 additional attack. And you don't even get power, right? Why not use V Nightrose, who can do literally the same thing but stronger? V Nightrose, whenever your unit attacks or boosts, it gives 5,000 power, and at the end of the battle, it must retire, right? So it also plays into Holo because your units will die anyways. You might as well just give them extra power to hop over, and that skill is not restricted. It does go minus, but it's a very good minus, I would say. Now, the second skill is that when his unit attacks come last 1, from your drop zone, choose up to 2 cards from your drop zone with different name and call it to the same column. And if your opponent's grade 3 or greater, this unit gains 10. Although, that being said, you won't really be playing this, the last part, the plus 10, because you would use V Nightrose going first, and then your entire freaking G zone going second. Right, so, oops, spoilers about that. So, it doesn't really matter in that sense, but this skill does matter because we do still play one of Granblue's strongest finishers, I dare say, and that is of course Bad Bounty. Yes, I own the high rare Bad Bounty. The idea is very simple. The idea is that, you know, V Nightrose is the ideal finisher to come through Bad Bounty. And now that you have V Nightrose at 4 copies, because this is your main right now, you have 100% consistency in that. You change having V Nightrose from a tech finisher into your main finisher, and it's just that just really helps a lot in terms of consistency. A lot of this deck feels like a V series deck, and that's because it is. Because a lot of the consistency in this deck really skyrockets when you play all the V series staples that Granblue enjoys. You don't need to pill yourself on all the tech cards that you're used to. While that is a fun option, you can just not do that, right? Of course, like I said, I will talk about it at the end of the video, the implications for premium as a whole, but I still think there's stuff to discuss for this deck, so that's why this video is being made. It's not an April Fool's joke. Skull Dragon's our finisher, so not much to talk about there. And Beatrice is formerly the premier Granblue enthusiast, right target, and is a lolly at the same time. Please don't arrest me. I don't like her though. I prefer Nightrose. OG fans will know that. But for Beatrice, generally she's a good right target as well, because when placed on the Vanguard rearguard circle, so +1, call 1 card from your drop zone, and then she has all her other skills that synergize with ghosties. All those that doesn't really matter. The first skill is way too impactful, right? And on place, just so +1, call 1. It's really good. It was a ghosty, so it did work with, you know, Negro Lily and stuff, but we lost that. We lost that as well, guys. So most of your basics are being, you know, burned as we speak. So yeah, but Beatrice is still really good as an extender, especially for Nightrose's multi-attack. That it is still absolutely worth playing Beatrice, right? If you're playing V Nightrose, you will still need V Beatrice, because the alternative is you play V series Night Mist, and that's just not happening. That you if you want to play V series Night Mist in V series Nightrose, you might as well just play D series, you know, or something else. I don't care. Moving on to our grade 2s. Our grade 2s, again, a lot of them are also V-Series returnees. Not much to talk about. 4 Combat, 4 Friends Chat, I think that's the name. 2 copies of Ghost Ship, 3 Greed Shade, and 1 King Serpent. Again, a lot of these very familiar. King Serpent is an old friend from G series. When placed on the Vanguard circle from the drop zone, soul charge 1 and counter charge 1. Wonderful, wonderful. He feeds you back all your resources, even though he's a very bad stat stick. He is just a guy you throw away really often of all your milling stuff. He's a good tech if you're running low on resource. You can just summon him, right? But you don't need more than 1. You really don't. And a lot of reason for that, why I'll explain later. Greed Shade is Greed Shade. You just 2-box the drop zone. You play 3 because his skill is still a net 0 for the 2-box, but you don't want to play less than 2 because he is pretty integral to 2-boxing the entire deck, especially after you lose at Large Gulf. It really sucks that Granblue used to have 2 Greed Shades and now only has 1. So it is now more important, now more than ever, to ensure you have Greed Shade rotation because it's virtually your only way left to 2-box the drop zone at a convenient rate. I say convenient rate because you can technically 2-box the drop zone with other stuff, but I just question how reliable that is. 2 Ghost Ship. Ghost Ship is the other beat stick for Granblue, Nightrose, whatever you want to call it. But for me, it's also because it draws, right? So that's why I still say play this guy. And a 2-off because anything more is a brick. The rest is just your regular V-Series consistency hell. Columbat is still your 1-card Omni starter. Just have 1 CB from your opponent who is clueless, and you generally get an entire grade 2 game. It is just that simple. You still plays at 4-off because the prospect of you drawing into this card will kill people. I'm glad they didn't ban this. This was honestly the one I was most worried they would hit because I'm a brainless Japanese player. But, I'm glad they didn't hit this. Maybe in the 2028 ban list, who knows. Next up, we have the Right Fixer. I've talked about this in the V-Series Nightrose video. Please check that, the link in the description below. The V-Series Right Fixers are one of the last few cards that was introduced by the V-Series, and this is generally one of the main arguments why I always say V-Series is important, right? Because a lot of the stuff that you take for granted in Premium comes from V, and this is definitely one of them. Although the argument can be made that this Right Fixer is the reason why Crest became so broken, I am a big fan of the Right Fixers personally. I hate the Crest, but I love the Right Fix cards. And that's because they all give you 2-box consistency, right? So from the hand, during your right phase, if your Vanguard is grade 1 or less and you haven't wrote yet, you can discard this card from your hand, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, choose a grade 2 or less card from among them, add them to your hand, and shuffle the deck. So this can 2-box anything from grade 2 or lower, and you can even just 2-box cards out, not even to write, but just to discard. And that helps a lot because in this version of my Nightrose list I'm presenting, I play 2 cards that virtually need to be rolled upon to win the game, right? So the idea is that by playing all these very important right targets, I'm also playing a card that can facilitate their search, unlike anything else in Vanguard's history. So that's why this is really good. The second skill is just another multi-attack skill. When boosted, it's basically like G-Series Columbat, if you remember that. You can weave this into an attack line. The option is good to have, but generally, just having both skills written on this card altogether make this a sincere must play in Granblue. If you are used to playing D-Series Nightrose, like me, hello, big D-Series Nightrose fan. This card basically helps you relive half of the consistency experience from that. So definitely do give this a chance because, especially for the people who come from standard to premium, not sure why, but if you do that, you are used to having the right deck, you don't have the right deck anymore, you need a card like this. Of course, if you've been playing Nightrose or Vanguard long before, Divines or even Standard, this stuff like this would automatically stand out to you because it is a very good consistency card to play. Next up, for grade 1s also is where more of the madness continues to coagulate. We play 1 copy of Bell, yes, our first D-Series cards maybe. 4 copies of, this is Siege Trolling Banshee, 4 Negro Bone, the V-Series one, and 1 Sanctitude. Sanctitude is still very important. I don't think I need to explain this, right? You're playing G-Series, you're playing Premium, these are the decks where everyone has a G unit, so please play Sanctitude. I'm sorry, I know some of you be saying, but I can't afford it, then don't play this format. I'm sorry, just don't play this format. And if you can't afford this, you may not be able to afford this either. Although they both were reprinted in the premium deck set, so I guess that's a solution for you. But, you know, that's been quite a while, 2 years? 1 or 2 years already, so a bit yikes. A bit. But definitely, you know, this is still must play. And being able to play 1 PG at your grade 1 ratio also enables you to save up on your slots later on. So later on our triggers, you see we only have 3 sentinels, right? Because the 4th is here. And that's very important because you have to make into account for Premium's favorite mechanic, the over trigger. So again, all this would be talked about in good time. The rest really solve themselves, but I will just talk about them briefly. Bell. Bell has to be played in every Granblue deck because of the possibility of Narukami rising up from the dead again. I'm sorry if this card's too expensive because of Hostage Nightrose in standard, but you know, this card has to be played. As long as there's a chance for Narukami to be at least tier 2, you need at least one of this. Because the problem with decks that just bind your drop zone and you have no way to recover it is you have no way to recover it. So you just automatically lose the game. This is not even considered a tech card. I'll consider this a necessity, right? Unless you can somehow guarantee me the next banlist bans every card with a bind keyword. As long as you can't guarantee that, you should still play this at 1. But you don't need more than 1, because anything more than 1 is also a brick. This is our very good right target. She's just on place right, you mill a card. Right, so it's just omni mill for anything. It really helps you set up your key pieces early without you over crutching on stuff like, you know, your big Obadiah, right? But, you know, having this early game means that you can even set up thinning your deck early, which is great. Her rearguard skill also is a mill skill, but also gives you a draw, which is really nice. It's kind of like the Negro Bone, but not really, because you can use this from anywhere, if I'm not mistaken. So that's really good. Speaking of D Negro Bone, here's V Negro Bone. We're playing V Negro Bone because his skill is very simple. In the drop zone, you choose a card from your hand, discard it, choose a card from the drop zone, and recall it. That must be grade 1, and when you're doing that, this guy goes to the bottom of the deck, right? But if your drop zone has 10 or more cards, you can call regardless of the grade. So the idea is that Negro Bone is kind of 4 extra revivals for a discard 1, and also helps you not deck out. But Negro Bone is one of those cards you always use around the ending of the game, which is very hard to determine for premium players, but I can assure you that with practice, you will kind of get the idea. Again, this comes more from V series, right? Because V series players are more used to playing for Negro Bone, but because I'm working on the assumption that a lot of times your games will be blowouts in premium, especially for me, the few times I get to play this format, you know, it gets really sucky sometimes when you just have very little cards in hand and very little to work with. Negro Bone ensures that whatever you draw, you can just ditch it so that you can swap it into additional summon, especially if you want to use the rest of your resources in your Vanguard circle, for example, for your offensive. And let me tell you, a lot of this stuff gets offensive fast. So, yeah. Again, like I said, because there are many ways to build this deck. So, if you think I'm wrong, the only thing I can tell you is please build your own, right? Test it yourself. I still think there's interesting things to be had here. Our grade zeros, yes, there's a lot of grade zeros in this deck. Our grade zeros and triggers. Yeah, let's see them. We're playing 1G Grenache and 1V Grenache. So obviously V Grenache is our starter. This is a tech because it's basically a holo counter charge 2 guy. So very essential because Nightrose is very greedy when it comes to counterblast. I can't complain that we didn't get this in standard because technically standard Nightrose is not really CB heavy, it's more of energy heavy if you want to be political. But I would still like to have one more Grenache in D series. But never mind, you only need one of this because it's a tech for premium, and this is your starter. Look at that. This is all 3 arts side by side. Let me know in the comments which one you like the most. This is still my favorite. I don't like this guy. The rest of our cards are pretty easy. 4 Heal Guards. Heal Guards stave off all your opponent's early aggro if you open it, and you're no longer able to loop this with Enlarge Gulf. So I'm sorry, you are losing a lot, okay? You are losing a lot. Other than that though, you use this for your G Guards access by discarding it from your hand. So early game it's good, late game is good, you just wanna get your heals, right? We're playing 3 Sentinels, 2 Crit Sentinels, 1 PG, Gashjin. The 4th one was Sanctitude. So basically it's 2 PG, 2 Crit Sentinel, very easy lineup. We play 4 crits, they are Strider crits. The idea is that you can use them to strike if you somehow don't have the Great Tree in your hand, which is always good to have. We're playing 4 Rampage Shade. I even own the original, that tells you a lot. Rampage Shade is basically all your history collection, 2023 crits, are all errata to be 15k shield, 10k power, and the ability that, you know, when your Vanguard with the Strider's name attacks, you move this unit to the soul, draw 1, that unit gains 10, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so, and also because of the idea that, you know, when you damage check one of these crits, you can draw a card. It's basically Vanguard 0. So, that's why you notice I'm quite light on draw PG. I'm really okay to not play that many draws, because technically I have 4 draw triggers right here, right? And offensively, I don't need the draw. I need a crit to kill people. And speaking of which, we are also playing, this is the original over trigger. So weird to say. We're playing this guy over Blessed Favor because Blessed Favor draws you and decks out. And I know that sounds very strange, but if you try this deck, you can deck out. So the idea is, instead of focusing on deck out, I just want to win. I know there are some people who will tell you to play the blue over trigger, Eidos Farah. I think that's also a pretty valid pick, but the idea is that most of the time the 200 million will overwhelm 2 of your columns and you can win the game from there. But honestly, the over trigger is your least your concerns right now. Just play whichever you prefer, but this is my preference. Alright, and now for everyone's favorite mechanic, the G-Zone. Are you ready? The G-Zone, what we have here today is quite a mix-up. Thanks to the Strike deck set Nightrose, we actually do get a few extra cards to put in. Let's get into them. One is Harmonics Messiah. This is still a must play in your G-Zones. If you don't own Harmonics Messiah, you just can't play Premium. This card basically enables you to go second by gifting you what they call a shield ticket. And it also gives you a cheat way to get out of Chaos Breaker or Artisaria if you believe in that. So yeah, pretty nice. One big Obadiah. Obadiah, basically, he's your first strike most of the time just to set up your G-Zone by... Sorry, just to set up your drop zone by taking all of your guards out of your deck. So again, very important guy. We play 2 Negro Songer. This is a fast way to multi-attack. We play 2 Bad Bounty. Bad Bounty is generally the biggest finisher for V Nightrose, so it is no exception that I'll try and tab into it here. Basically, after it attacks, you know, you can count last 1, discard 3 cards in your hand, choose a card from your drop zone, and ride it as stand, right? So the idea is that after Bad Bounty, you can loop into V Nightrose, and V Nightrose, using her skill with 1 more CB, can get 1 more column. Again, sounds technical, but it really isn't. This deck really is quite intuitive once you play it once or twice. And because, like I said, I'm focusing on the aggression V Nightrose brings over trying to superior strike with Bad Bounty. Sorry. I'm using V Nightrose at a 4 over using the superior strike that Bandit Ram brings. So it makes sense that I'll play Bad Bounty. My English is really tripping here. Maybe I shouldn't do English videos anymore. We are playing 2 copies of this is the Blue Nightrose. This is Roserate Twilight, I believe. So this one is pretty good because it is your emergency board bringer. It just brings everything back, and it holos everything with a force holo, and then it gives itself +1 crit. And when this unit attacks, you can choose different cards on your field per the number of Nightrose in your drop zone, and they gain 5. Again, this one is really just your emergency because if you just need a board quickly, you can just use this, but you generally tend not to go into this one. So yeah, the exact opposite of this card is an Ultimate Strike. This is D-Series Miss Phantasm Nightrose. Yeah, so it is pretty fun. D-Series Miss Phantasm Nightrose is an Ultimate Strike, so you need to discard a Nightrose with the same name. And when this unit attacks, you count +1, choose 2 of your rearguards to retire it. And then if you do, choose up to 2 cards with different name for your drop zone, call them to rearguard circle. If you have 10 or more cards in drop, she gets a crit. 15 or more, the called units gain 10. So this is a ultra staple of D-Series Nightrose because this is the only way D-Series Nightrose can play the game. But in Premium, you can just tech it out for a less riskier Megiddo. I mean, technically you can still play Megiddo. I don't think there's anything wrong with Megiddo at all. But I thought it was really interesting in my games with this deck that, you know, I could use a D-Series strike here, which is kind of rare for D-Series strikes to actually become mainstays in the deck. I'm hoping this video would put some light on it because I'm really a fan of Miss Phantasm in the D-Series. I think she's one of the best cards to come and hit Granblue in a while, which is saying a lot because we don't get energy, but I'll get into that later on. One Negro, no more Negro Lily. Negro Lily got hit, and because I picked Beatrice, I don't get Negro Lily. 2 copies of this one. This is the Flip G-Guard to let me call cards from the drop zone. and then of course one Colburn. Sorry, not of course. One Colburn and then one oops, came out camera. This is Deep Corpse Dragon, right? All the G guards we played, all 5 of them. Let me shift that out of the way, I'm so sorry. Wow, it's been so long since I did a premium video. All 5 of these, as you can see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. None of them use counterblast at all, right? So the idea is I want to save all the counterblasts for an offensive push. I want to use other resource, and the most common other resource is soul, right? Soul, discard, nothing, right? So this guy is a free mill for 20k shield, which is nice because our heal guards are 15k shield. Colburn basically traps a lot of the decks that like to farm hand by choosing a card from hand to discard. He gains 5,000 shield for every 2 cards in your opponent's hand, which is really just a nice way to tell them, yeah, keep drawing, go ahead. These 2 basically just give me free revives to the Guardian Circle, which is nice, and Negronera is a Soul Blast 1 to potentially go up to 30k shield, as long as you play the game correctly. So again, all of these are just shield. We don't really need a more technical kind of defense because the technical kind of defense is gone. We are not able to play our Denial Griffins anymore. We're not able to play a lot of other stuff like our Make the Ghosties anymore, and that's okay. I'd much rather deck be consistent and strong in its beatdown and numbers rather than focusing on the gimmick you're never gonna hit. And that's why our final card in the G-Zone is 1 copy of Bartholomew. I've learned a lot watching the Japanese play Bartholomew. In fact, most of my knowledge on what not to do from Bartholomew comes from people like Miltai. Because, my god, some people really get shoehorned into the whole, I need to turbo mill to win, That is not the way you live life, my friend. This card is insanely powerful. In fact, it is the most powerful card in the G-Zone. I'll say that outright. I would say it's even stronger than Miss Phantasm. But the thing is that you need to be able to work towards this endgame without costing your hand, right? So what does it do? When this unit attacks, counterblast 1, choose up to 3 cards with different names. From your drop zone and call into the rearguard circle when he attacks, and this unit gains, and they all get 5,000 power if I'm not mistaken. And if you have 30 or more cards in the drop zone, when your opponent wants to call cards from the hand to the guardian circle, they have to call 3 or more at the same time, right? So basically, it's a super form of what is the garbage shred guy called? Battle Door. Yes, it is a super extreme Battle Door, and it gives you naturally 5 attacks, right? With 1 counterblast, that's 5 attacks written on the card. Not even counting all the other stuff I've been piling in this deck to make that even worse. And being able to apply a global battle door during the entire turn is insane, right? But like, if you read this card and go, wow, this is the best card in the game, I just want to keep playing this, you will suffer. Okay, I'm going to be honest, you will suffer. You are much better off focusing on a mid-range style offense through something like, Negro Songer if you want, or through Bad Bounty if you want, or even through Miss Phantasm if you get the ultimate strike, rather than you just zero in and go, wow, I love this guy, I'm going to keep playing him forever. Because if you overextend, it will just cost you the game, right? I know to some of you watching this video, you're probably laughing to yourself saying, wow, Amis is such an idiot, he'll think we'll overextend. But there are people who actually do overextend. Okay, so it is a genuine concern. Please, if you want to play this deck, if you want to play this card in Granblue, you will need to learn how to not overextend. Again, it's funny that this guy wasn't hit. I kind of expected him to be hit if they were going to do a Granblue hit, but he ended up hitting everything else, which is really strange to me. So yeah, sure, I guess. And just like that, we've reached the end of the premium Nightrose deck profile. As you can see here, there are still options for this deck. And not only that, I'm alluding to other ways you can build this deck, right? I've put certain stuff in the G-Zone, I've put certain stuff out of the G-Zone. I put certain cards in this deck, I put certain cards out of this deck. And because of the fact that the nature of, say, for example, Crest works by, it is only choice restricted with G Nightrose, technically you could play Crest with V Nightrose. I don't agree, but you could do that as well, right? There is a lot of ways that you can still play this deck in Premium. And I would say for all the Granblue players who are dedicated to stay true to the end, I am with you. I really would like to see what you guys make for this deck, because I still believe that's hope. I still believe that we can build something for the eternal format to ensure that we can still keep playing this deck we love for many more years to come. It is good that we get such a shock-up ban list, but I'm not sure why we got so many hits. You could say, yes, Granblue has had it coming in years, but, it is still quite a shock to me that we suddenly get this out of nowhere when, historically, we don't really get such a large ban list. But whatever it is, we take in our stride, and here it is. So this is my take on Premium Nightrose. Let me know in the comments what is your take on this deck. So that ends that segment. Now, what about Premium? What is the future of Premium? I don't know. To be honest, this ban list has been freaking insane. Reading this, I'm like, what's the matter now? Dimension Police? I don't know. But I think it'll be very interesting, especially for the English players who still actively play premiums at the events. I think this will be fun to see. I think for the Japanese side, if we do end up implementing it, we only have 2 events a year anyway, so we are not really going to be impacted if you want to get political about it. But realistically speaking, I do hope they continue to follow the trend of the unified ban list, because this is still a pretty interesting list, as much as I just lost about 30,000 yen. I would like to see, you know, this list carried on to the Japanese side, and to see what the Japanese themselves cook, because, you know, some of them still play this game, still play this format, although definitely the premium crowd for the Japanese format is way smaller than the English format. I would say that with absolute confidence. So yeah, but I don't know if this is enough to save premium from the whole go first win haha thing. I know they hit all the crest decks, which is wonderful, but they didn't hit them outright. They just hit them with their most prevalent grade 3. Technically speaking, if they have another counterpart from another format, you could still play them together. So I don't know if this is the right way to do it, but we will see. The rest of the hits, you know, most of them were pretty good, I would say. The DI hits were really good. The Nuba hits were pretty good. I'm really interested to see what else they do in the years to come, especially for premium. But most importantly, this format still needs a product. V-Series still needs a product. If they do both together, I'm fine, honestly. But VNP equally need a format. They need a format and they need a product, you know, and them adding energy into standard redefines doesn't do this format well, because we don't have energy, right? It's just not possible. And that, to top it off as well, for the Japanese side, we don't have VNP tournament support promos anymore. When I went off by talking about Franchet and how much I like her, we will never get a promo like this ever again for the next few years, which is concerning, you know, because a lot of the newer cards in Granblue that recently got hit on the ban list were these series cards. So the question is, how often are we going to keep getting new cards and innovations, or are we just waiting for ban lists to chop people's head off and we just play the next best thing? I don't know. This may be just me spitballing here or just talking complete nonsense, but these are my concerns as a premium player. Of course, I'm not an English premium player, so I don't know, but I do feel a sense of concern, right? So I would be interested to see what they are going to do moving forward. This ban list is a great sign that shows that they're willing to shake things up, but I think a product for VMP ultimately is what I want. So that's really all I can say about that. If you are tired of premium, if you're saying, Ames, I'm done with premium, I want no hand in this anymore, but I still think Nightrose is pretty hot, I still want to play Nightrose, links in the description for my V and D series Nightrose deck profiles, and even my standard encyclopedia for Nightrose up to DZ BTO4. Yes, I did write one. I would really appreciate it if you check it out, links in the description below. If you guys want to see me cover a standard Nightrose deck profile for 2025, I may not. It depends on my time. But if you guys let me know in the comments, I will definitely take note if I even can work that into my schedule down the line. But that would really be about it. Honestly, like I've stressed plenty of times before in this video, I don't think this is the end of you know, Nightrose in premium or Year Alone Granblue in premium, but I do think these are hits, heavy hits that we need to work together, right? A lot of the things we used to do, we can't do anymore. And I think as a community, if you can even call the Granblue players that, as players, we do need to figure out what is the next best thing and whether or not this deck can still be played competitively. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care. Oh, and the next video is going to be a fun one. So, remember I mentioned Miltai, right? So, next video, he may or may not be coming. Yeah? So, stay tuned on that. Bye-bye. Take care.